As the movie begins, we are immediately directed to several scenes of an apartment room. Clearly, from what we see, this apartment is owned by someone very wealthy. And as it turns out, that person is the most famous artist in the United States. Coincidentally, he is leaving town with his daughter and will be away for a month. In this place, there are many luxurious paintings stored, where their prices can even reach tens of millions of dollars. And without a doubt, all these valuable paintings are securely stored and closely guarded by a very tight security system. Not long after, a man named Nemo is seen entering the apartment with such ease. He comes alone, guided by someone who seems to understand the security access of the apartment very well. Remarkably, Nemo manages to take control of the entire room in an instant, and he immediately starts taking each of the displayed artworks. But from his movements, it's clear that Nemo is not a professional thief. He only has 7 minutes to act before the security system reactivates. However, unfortunately for him, there's one painting that Nemo fails to find. It's the most expensive painting depicting the head of the artist himself. Its price touches $30 million. He continues to search for the painting, but ultimately, Nemo wastes his 7 minutes in vain. The security system in the apartment is already active, and he can't do much about it. Panic, anxiety, and worry all mix within Nemo at that moment. The blaring alarm and the emergency lights intensify his panic, and he doesn't know what to do. Moreover, his partner has already given up, leaving Nemo trapped inside the apartment. There's no way out, and all of Nemo's efforts seem futile. To make matters worse, the air conditioning system automatically switches to heat mode, meaning the temperature in the room will keep rising over time. Knowing this, Nemo continues to try to damage the main door of the apartment. Fortunately, he finds a stockpile of food, estimating that all the food and drinks will run out within 4 weeks. But Nemo's positive thinking is shattered again when he realizes that the main door he's been trying to break down is actually reinforced with pure steel. As time passes, every corner of the room starts to feel like his own, even though he knows he has to keep looking for a way out while racing against time. Meanwhile, a bird suddenly gets trapped on the balcony of the apartment. For now, that bird will be Nemo's only companion. The increasing heat over time makes it difficult for Nemo to think clearly. The lack of water and electricity also adds to the chaos. But shortly after, Nemo begins to realize something. He feels like he still has a chance to escape through the window in the room's ceiling. However, the high position of the window requires him to think creatively. He has to rearrange various pieces of furniture to reach it. As he rested, Nemo began to feel that sooner or later the fish in the aquarium would become his meal. But for now, he had to focus on all water sources, whether from the pool or the automatic sprinklers in the garden. Moreover, he had to save all the food in the fridge as much as possible so he could survive while trying to reach the window in the room's ceiling. Nemo truly wanted to succeed in reaching that window, to the point where his planning took days. As the days went by, Nemo truly demonstrated frugal behavior. Anything he found would definitely be consumed, from expired canned food to the ice powder in the fridge. In his dire solitude, Nemo's mind began to falter. His increasingly dulled reasoning made it difficult for him to think clearly, and he couldn't prioritize his tasks. In reality, Nemo could have escaped faster if he quickly finished arranging the furniture. But in fact, he was preoccupied with his loneliness, which had already lasted for 2 weeks. To make matters worse, the malfunctioning system suddenly changed the room temperature to cold, further disturbing Nemo's psyche. As a result, he grew weaker by the day, showing no intention of engaging in activities anymore. Nemo's focus was solely on consuming spoiled food, filtering dirty water, and even breaking glass vases to use as eyeglasses to avoid the glare of the sunlight. Once the sunglasses were ready, Nemo began to complete his task. Hit by hit, he attempted to create an opening in the window glass. However, it wasn't easy, especially since the material used was sturdy and difficult to break. Moreover, Nemo could only use a small knife. Until finally, signs of freedom began to appear as Nemo managed to chip away at the entire surrounding surface of the glass. But here, he discovered the fact that the window glass was also surrounded by a layer of steel. Therefore, he needed time to rest again that day. And once again, his entire resting process had to be filled with random actions. From doodling, talking to the bird, and even changing his sweaty clothes. Nemo knew that once he got out of this apartment, his fate wouldn't be safe. Moreover, his worry increased after the bird that had been his constant companion died, consumed by time. It's truly pitiful, trying to steal but ending up empty-handed, and now ending up like this. Nemo began to act creatively to remove all the bolts from the glass layer. And with no food available, he reluctantly had to consume the pet fish as well. The fish truly became the last resort, considering Nemo desperately needed nutritious food. One thing's for sure, with nutritious food, he'll become even smarter in generating ideas. However, for some reason, after 3 weeks here, Nemo started to feel more comfortable. He had grown accustomed to being alone and living in squalor like this. In fact, there might have been a thought forming in his mind to establish a new belief, which he deemed worth fighting for like a religion. And as it appeared, that belief was solely directed towards a wall that Nemo had scribbled on. Not long after, Nemo came up with another absurd idea, which was bound to end in chaos. He decided to create a torch to trigger the fire sensor. As expected, the result was that the entire room was immediately flooded with water. The room, which had previously seemed dull, now resembled a mini swimming pool to Nemo. He even somehow believed that with the presence of water, all evidence of his crime would vanish on its own. Finally, the moment Nemo had been waiting for arrived. It was time for him to prove whether his efforts would pay off or not. But before that, he wanted to say goodbye. Nemo took the time to write a love letter, even if it meant writing it on the wall. After expressing all his thoughts, Nemo attempted to climb out of the window and escape from the apartment. The destroyed apartment, now empty, and Nemo's shadow disappearing through the window hole marked his successful escape. And with that, the movie Inside comes to an end. What do you think about this film? A thriller film filled with absolute absurdity. Hopefully, this recap explains the story of the film Inside. And that's it for this video. See you another time.